I attended B.F. Ford in first grade. Absolutely loved going to that school. It was, of course, an all-black school, and I felt comfortable. I felt valued. I felt accepted. All of those things because the teachers were all black. Uh, the administration, they were all black. So, of course, I felt comfortable and had a wonderful first grade experience. In fact, I recall my first grade teacher, Miss Mary Beasley, a wonderful, wonderful teacher, loved B.F. Ford. Um, I remember running up and down the halls when I was there. And then there was a sad occasion when I was at B.F. Ford in April of 1968, as the world knows that Dr. King was assassinated. And I recall being in the library. The teachers brought us all to the library to watch his funeral on a black and white TV. And so that was something, it was amazing to see the teachers crying and tears just running down their face. And I knew that it was a sad occasion and a moment in history. And but that was in April, so that May was the end of the first grade year. And that summer, my mother said to me, "You're going to a new school." I said, "Going to a new school?" And I said, I asked her, I said, "Will my friends be there?" And she said, "Probably not, but I would make new friends." Well, from now, what I understand, years later, my mother had gone to town hall meetings, and because integration was in the air, you were going to have to go to a different school. We were going to be integrated. And my mother had gone to town hall meetings, and at that time she knew that the parents just weren't, the white parents weren't ready. And what happened was I lived close to Sherman in Blue Springs, in the city of Blue Springs, in the Red Hill community of, it was a neighborhood of black families, progressive black families. And we lived on, as I said, near Sherman. Well, when integration occurred, you had to go to the school that was closest to where you lived. And of course, in Union County, there were 4 county schools and there was a city school, W.P. Daniel. Well, of course, I lived, if you will, in the country. And so East Union was close to where we lived. So that's where I had to go. Most of my black friends, a lot of them lived in the city, so they got to go to W.P. Daniel. And it was quite a number of them that went to W.P. Daniel. There were those who went to Ingomar, and there were those who went to Myrtle and West Union. But at East Union, where I lived, there wasn't that many black students. And well, let me put it this way. There were a lot of black students, but we were all in different grades. So if you weren't in the same grade, when you went into the school, you were most of the time the only black kid in the classroom. And so my mom, again, back to my mom, who only had an 8th grade education. I love to tell that because she was one of the smartest women that I've ever known. And she had gone to those town hall meetings, knew the parents weren't ready. And so one of the things that mother did that summer was, I knew my name, but she wanted to make sure I knew my name. Knew my name. And so she asked me every day, "What is your name?" And I would say, "My name is Cosette Juanita Gambrell." And then, as all kids, I'd say, "Mama, now, you know my name. What is your name?" And so I would have to tell her my name every day. "My name is Cosette Juanita Gambrell." And then also, of course, it was summer. And so my mom always played with me. That was our playtime. We always played together. My mother, no matter what was going on, she would always give me some time, even though she had worked hard all day. But this particular summer, she always answered when I said, "Mama, we're going to play." She'd answer by saying, "No, no, not today. I want you to sit over there and read your books." I had no idea that she was preparing me for what I would face in the 2nd grade. Again, as I said, she knew the parents weren't ready. So guess what? All of us as parents, our children pick up on what we think and what we believe. And so Mama said she knew that there was going to be some trouble at the school for me as a student. And so she said, as I said, I had to know my name and then read. And so all of a sudden, it's August. And the night before school, my mama said to me, she said, now you're going to meet some new children. She said, the only difference is your skin is brown and theirs is white, but you're all special children. And I said, okay, Mama. And so we go to school, and Mama, we walk hand in hand down the hall, and Mama leaves me in the second grade with me being the only black girl there at the time. Months later, some people from W.P. Daniel transferred to East Union, and so there was another young black girl in my class. But in the beginning, no. So anyway, my mama said to the teacher, said, you know, when Juanita's on the playground, would you allow her to carry her little satchel of books with her? And the teacher said, of course, Miss Joyce McNutt. I will never forget her. She was this sweet, sweet woman who embraced me just like Miss Beasley did. This woman embraced me. Had she not been the type of teacher she was, I shudder to think what my outcome might have been in life. But anyway, so Miss McNutt told my mama, said, of course you can, she can take her books with her. So Mama said she knew, later on she explained to me that she knew that I would be fine in the classroom, but out on the playground is where things would happen. And sure enough, when I got on that playground for recess, I think we had like a 30-minute recess. Anyway, when I got on that playground, the kids let loose and began calling me vicious, ugly, hurtful names. But the beauty of this is my mother never once told me that I would be called any name. She never put any ugly name in my brain that would say I would be called that. But she gave me my identity, my name, who I am. And so when those kids started calling me those names, I looked at them like, what? That's not my name. My name is Cosette Juanita Gambrell. And so this happened constantly. And then, of course, as any child would do, they want to play. I'm a child. I want to play on the playground. Because remember, at B.F. Ford, that's what we did. All of the kids ran and played at the school. And so I'm a child. I want to play with the kids. And so I get on, I go to the playground, to the merry-go-round that they had, and I get on it, and every white child gets off the merry-go-round. They didn't want to play with me, but that didn't hinder me at all, because I thought, oh, it's okay. So I went and asked Miss McNutt for my satchel of books, and just sit down in a corner and read. That's what I did. But my mother prepared me for that. And that went on for a while. Listen, my experience turned out to be good, but the initial stages of being at that new school with white students, white teachers, that it was difficult. But because of my mother telling me my identity and me avid reader, I fared well. And so, as I always say with all children, if you leave us alone, children will play. They'll forget about whatever it is that they have against you. And so, as the weeks went by, those little children started playing with me. But I will tell you all, one of the things that I can say that was really, really a time in my life is, you're sitting at the front of the class, and then all of a sudden you get spitballs. I got hit by a lot of spitballs by I would assume boys. When I would walk by the boys, some of them would stick their legs out and trip me. One of my other experiences was when I went to the bathroom, the girls would say, "Here comes the end. We don't want to use the same stall that she uses." And so those were the kind of experiences that I had. But as time went on, and of course, my mother simply said to me, Juanita, you have to love. I would go home every day and say, Mama, the kids won't play with me. The children won't play with me, Mama. Mama said, you gotta love, baby. It will be all right. And this is the other thing that I heard my mother pray. She prayed outwardly every night. She would say, Lord, let the heart of a child come forth. Well, I didn't understand that, but as I got older, I realized my mother knew that if the heart of a child came forth, then the children would not see color. They would play. We would interact with each other. And that is exactly what happened. I believe the Lord honored my mother's prayer request by allowing children just to be children. And so we all became friends. And I love to tell the story whenever I'm speaking. They honored me in high school by I was an officer of the Beta Club. I was an officer of the FBLA Club. Guess what? It was only 2 blacks in my senior year. And so who nominated me to be in these clubs? Who nominated me to be an officer? White friends. So I'm a witness that the power of love is so incredible, because I kept showing love. I didn't show hate. I could have very easily stayed by myself, left in the corner, but I didn't. Another thing that I like to say about East Union is my mama always told me, so you can ask anybody anything, just be prepared for the answer, yes or no. And so I went home one day and I said, Mama, the students are making intercom announcements. This is when I was in a higher grade, and I said, I'd love to do that. Mama said, just ask the principal. So guess what I did? I went to the principal and I said, Mr. Priest, I would love to make announcements, some of the school announcements. Guess what? I made the majority of school announcements every morning. They used me. Then I worked in the school store. Then guess what? I asked Mr. Priest. I'd love to work in the school office on my study hall time. They said, of course you can work. So I had an incredible experience at East Union. I love being there. I love being there with the teachers. But it was because of my mama telling me, you have to love. You can't hate. That was the principle that was embedded in me of loving everybody. And my mom always said, you got to make a difference in life. And I would like to think that during my tenure at that school, that somehow I made a difference, that somehow loving, showing the students that I was just a student just like them made a difference in their lives. I always tell this too, that there were 52 of us, and only 2 blacks graduated the senior year. And unfortunately, one of the young ladies, she failed the 3rd grade, so I caught up with her. That's how it was 2 blacks to graduate in a class of 52 in 79. But it was a great opportunity being at East Union. It was difficult days. In fact, when I tell my story, I've had a lot of people come up to me afterwards and say, that was not my experience when we went to whatever school it was in Union County. They all had different experiences, but thank God I had a great experience. And then guess what happened? I started sharing my story, started telling this story about love. And a businessman in Tupelo said to me, Juanita, that story should be in a book. And I said, I don't know anything about publishing a book. And he said, well, I know a lady. Her name is Sarah Berry. He said, I'm going to give her a call. Well, Sarah Berry is an author and publisher in her own right. Sarah was a former school teacher. So she listened to my story. And Sarah is the one that put the words in the book in children's book form. And from my story. So we collaborated on it. And what I think is so beautiful about that story, God paired me up with a white woman. How incredible to share my story, and it was a white and a black woman collaborating on the summer of 1969. So that book was born. I've been able to share it. And then the incredible thing about that is another businessman said, Juanita, that book ought to be in the schools given to second graders, since this was your second grade story. This man sent letters to people all over Northeast Mississippi and said, would you donate monies to buy books, to purchase books, to put into the schools? Now, how incredible is this, that books were given to second graders in every school district, Pontotoc, Union, and Lee? How? I would say it came full circle that the school that I left, B.F. Ford, went to East Union in Union County, and then because of this businessman, people donated monies, and to date we've given over 6,000 books away, and they all every second grader that particular year was able to take one of our books home with them to read and to enjoy. So life is a journey, and I've had an incredible journey, and being able to share that experience, being able to share that story and tell it to others, and always end with love. You have to love. And one of my favorite quotes, it comes from an unknown author, and I usually end one of my presentations with this quote. And it simply says, there are two dates on a tombstone. There's the date of birth and there's a date of death. And it says every man is guaranteed those two dates. But that little dash that lies in the middle, that's what defines and determines our lives. And so I always ask the question, what are you doing with your dash? And I have to ask it to myself. What am I doing with my dash? Did I make a difference? Have I shared my mother's story about love? Have I tried to convince people it's all about love? It's about making a difference in the lives of others. And every now and then I have to think about my dash. What am I doing with it?